Oh, yes, yes. Yeehaw, as they used to say, and thank you very much for that.
Mm.
You get you or no? Otherwise, you wouldn't be here. But for those of us, or you, at home, who don't know, my name is Mal Burns. Mal is one word, Burns is another word. But guess what? In the interwebs, of course, like everything else, I get squashed. Never really been happy about getting squashed,
No.
you know. Avoid the crowds as a rule, but inevitable. On the web, there's just too much information, too many people, and you're going to get squashed whether you like it or not. So, when you go to Twitter to find my links, you've got to go to twitter.com/Malburns, Malburns, without a space. What can we do, hey? Well, it's easy enough to remember, I suppose. Maybe less easy than the secondary stream we have, twitter.com/Metaworld News, which of course is the name of this show. Also squashed. Haha, yes.
Mm.
Inevitable squashings going on. Okay, well let's get I won't say get serious, that never lasted long, but we will get down to the nitty-gritty of the show today, I think. Um what was I going to say? These are going to be our news headlines. It is Meta World News after all. Did I mention that? It's going to be our news headlines for the week ending the 15th of August, which is actually
Mm.
today when we're recording it. But who knows when you're watching it? Probably the year 5000 for all I
Probably.
know. If YouTube servers are still working. Right. Okay, also joining me in the studio, as always, is James Atloud. Welcome, James.
Oh, thank you, Mal. I am glad to be here again. I haven't found much of an exciting shirt today, but I did find this at the Sansar store, and it's a promotional shirt from Bacardi. The store where the shirt for free is, let me put the link up on our lovely screen. It's called
Do
Casa
what?
Bacardi Store.
Oh,
Casa Casa Bacardi. So, but
oh God, they've been
yeah,
watching too much Casablanca or something.
yeah.
Well,
I'm all for doing what moves me. So,
yeah, I think
yeah,
that's
yeah.
fair enough. It may not be loud, but it sure is fruity.
It's fruity. It is.
Yeah, so, yeah, the fruits are moving, but with luck they'll move you.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, not as loud as some. Okay, well that's wonderful. And now, for home, so go. Do credit here to James too, because behind the scenes he's twiddling with things, knobs usually, or maybe buttons, or I don't know. I don't know because
Buttons and mouse, probably.
yes, he's hidden from me. You see, I can't see what he's doing at the actual
Yeah,
moment.
yeah.
But switching camera positions so you can see me one way and then me the other. Better still, he's able to share my desktop with you. So when I'm talking about the links I'm going to be talking about, you can actually see pretty pictures and big words on the screen.
Mm-hmm.
To go, just livens up things a little bit. So a lot of work done behind the scenes. That and of course he also mixes the audio. And for those of you who've been listening to me the last 2 weeks, you know we were having microphone problems and my voice wasn't on
Uh,
spectacular form. But today, I gather, of course, I can't hear myself, but today, I gather the super mic is behaving itself
it's
again.
behaving. It definitely is.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, welcome back, Super Mike. We're
Yay.
pleased to see you, and may it be a long time before you take another break.
May it
Yeah, yeah,
be. May
yeah.
it be a long time before there's another break.
Yes, yeah. What did I say? Yeah, indeed. Yeah, you stay there, boy.
That's right.
I've plugged you in. You're on the cable. You can't walk anywhere, so don't try it. Right. Okay. Now to get back to it. Yeah, 15th of August, weekending news, etc. Right. All the links we're going to be talking about, you will actually find. In fact, I'm certain all of them this week. You'll find at the twitter.com/Malbones feed. There are a lot more links on that Twitter feed. If you don't follow me, you should. But I'm just covering the highlights and the essentials, so to speak, of which there are always more than enough anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So, focus, boy. Yes, where were you? I have done all the intros that we need to do, I believe. So
Mm-hmm.
let's go to the first thing on the screen.
All right.
Always, every week, of course. we start with a link to the scarredghost.com. SKA. Yoo-hoo! Oh yeah, the wolf. The wolf is howling. SKARREDGHOST.com. Now, today, by the way, I've got the link at the end of the show, but there's a post from him today, celebrating the fact that this blog is now exactly to the day 5 years old.
Ah.
So I will come to that at the end, but I thought I'd mention it now too as an added sort of
Mhm.
impetus. Anyway, yeah, this is of Tony Vitaroli, or his real name, but we call him the Scar Ghost, and of course he calls himself the Scar Ghost too. So no offence taken, I presume. Right, this is his roundup of all what the news that was highlights to him, basically, and it was on Monday, just gone. So my links sort of start on Monday, but this particular one looks back at the week before. So obviously it's the week ending the 8th of August in his case. It was published on the 9th, which will give you an idea. Um, Always worth looking forward. Check it out on Monday or Tuesday, beginning of the week, just to get a good idea of what's gone on the week before. Um, he's he looks at hardware and Sony and all sorts of things that don't really hit my radar so much. I'm scrolling down the page, as you can see here. He's a very prolific writer too. So it's no, I'm not going to go to the end. It may be miles away. I can't tell. I can't see the horizon when I scroll down his blog. It's that long and complicated and interesting though.
Mhm.
So do go to a Scarred Ghost with a K there, SKARREDGHOST.com for his roundup of stuffs. Now I'm also going to do another thing that's a bit out of order because this is a post that literally just came in today. So it's ended up at the top of my list here instead of the bottom, which is where most of the recent ones are. Where's this guy? Oh yeah, this is VentureBeat, probably their GameSpeed session really. VentureBeat.com, and much ado about you know what really. Um, Much has been said about the Monkeyverse recently. Sorry, I call it the Monkeyverse. I'm calling it the Monkeyverse now. Oh, it seems to be full of monkeys, so it must be a Monkeyverse. Really, it's been misnamed by mistake. Anyway, thanks to the Lord Emperor's announcement that Facebook will be evolving into a Monkeyverse. Yes. Ensuing commentaries have been numerous and many imagining a world parallel to the real world, existing with one identity and shape and one set of rules. That's akin to suggesting that AOL is the internet. In reality, the
Mhm.
internet and myriad places, identities, purposes appearing on an equally wide range of interfaces. Its backbone technology and the experiences it enables are infinite and chaotic. The only consistency is you, the human, transversing it. Therefore, the current portrayals of the metaverse, i.e., Lord Emperor, is people meeting in digital spaces, somewhat close to Snow Crash, where the term was first coined. Um, but the term has now grown to mean something more expansive, and the metaverse won't be realized in a closed garden VR space. It will emerge as our digital lifestyles begin to join us in the physical world. And yeah, anyway, it goes on, it goes on. Basically, the underlying message to all these posts really is hey, have you been reading the news? This thing called the metaverse is happening. As if it hadn't been happening for the last 15 years
Yeah.
in informative stages, anyway. And fairly universally, anybody who actually knows what they're talking about is highly cynical of the Lord Emperor's idea of what is going to Facebook are going to do. But also a bit, we've got Roblox, we've got Fortnite, and all these other things. The only two companies whose CEOs seem to actually be talking realistically are probably I forget his name. Is it Sweeney from Epic?
Mhm.
And uh, who's the other one? Who's the other one? Oh, the chap from Magic Leap. Both of these people seem to be people who know exactly what conformative metaverse is and has been for a good number of years, and are working to that end. I mean, they are commercial companies, both Epic and Magic Leap, but that doesn't mean they haven't got a grander vision. You could go back to early Second Life, where Philip Rosedale was obvious, more visionary than anything else, really. Well, physicists too, but um, it was all born out of a vision that was not essentially the walled garden it became. It became that because it had to be, and it was of its time. So anyway, I'm getting down a rabbit hole before I even
Oops.
started. Oh,
Right.
right, yeah. So go to this posted today at venturebeat.com, venturebeat.com. And with that, I can now go back to the beginning of the week and get through things in some semblance of order, I suppose. Right, here we are. So, how VR could capture and communicate your feelings. Watching you, watching me. Isn't that a song?
Yeah.
Watching you, watching me. Can't remember which
I
song it is.
I hear the lyric, but I don't remember the song.
Yeah, the same with me. It's no, it's not. It's not the Who. That's See Me, Feel Me. I don't know.
Yep.
Watching you, watching me. Anyway, it's probably a pop song that is catchy enough to remember, but have
Hmm.
no consequence otherwise. Okay, so this is a site called lifewire.com, lifewire.com, and talking about researchers investigating new ways to track and communicate human emotion using VR. They got a new device called Neck Face, which can be worn as a necklace to monitor facial expressions. Whether the neck face can see your facial expressions underneath the helmet you're wearing as well, I don't know. But presumably you get a neck face and find out. Love the name, Neck Face. Anyway, the Fastball recently released a paper on reverse pass-through VR, which is kind of similar. There's a nice picture. Lots of kids entrapped in their virtual viewers. Is this what we really want? I don't know. I don't know. If no one can see you smile in virtual reality, did it really happen? Oh God, we're getting. There's a combination. There's a combination of can anybody hear you scream in space and the Schrodinger's cat, all in one quote.
Right.
Never
So Mel,
didn't really.
Google tells me that watching me is a Bill Withers song.
Oh, that figures. Yeah, well,
Yep.
I
Yep.
probably heard that on the radio at some
Right.
point.
Right.
Not something I would probably have bought, but yeah, he was okay.
Yep. Yep.
Right. Anyway, right, a research team at Cornell University has developed a device that can be worn as a necklace and tracks facial expressions. It uses infrared cameras to capture images of the chin and face from beneath the neck. And it's a growing wave of innovations aimed at capturing and expressing emotions in VR. So it's good to know that amongst all the talk of a monkeyverse, that there's a little bit of new hardware appearing. There isn't a headset per se. So there you go. Check this one out at lifewire.com. lifewire.com. Now, talking of hardware that suddenly is becoming software, NVIDIA, they're the people that make your video cards, well, at least the best ones anyway,
Mm-hmm.
that give you amazing graphics on screen and do other things too. You can, they've even got their own software for broadcasting, of video live. But they announced quite a while ago now something called the Omniverse. Thank God they didn't use the word, what verse. And NVIDIA's Omniverse is a way to collaborate in simulated worlds. Does this sound familiar?
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's somebody has actually taken to using the word we expect by calling it the Metaverse for engineers. So presumably it's a section of the metaverse, it's a continent somewhere in the metaverse for engineers to hang out. Anyway, it has actually grown to more than 50,000 users. And I think we announced this last week, but NVIDIA themselves want to dramatically expand that user base by millions. So start with 50,000. Now they want millions. And the way they're doing it is they want to capture everybody who uses the software called Blender to create 3D. And basically, they provide a simple tool that I guess plugs into Blender or whatever, to create what you might need. Um, Now, this week, of course, it was very hard to get into. There were no live broadcasts from it or anything. Whether something will show up later, I don't know. We had the SIGGRAPH visual computing event,
Mm.
and that's where NVIDIA were launching a major expansion of the Omniverse, the simulation and collaboration platform, delivering the foundation of the unspeakable, the void, the ultraverse, the universe of virtual worlds are all interconnected, like in Snow Crash, Ready Player One, etc., etc. Yep. Ooh, missing pictures. Who knows? Who knew? Who knew? Okay. Okay. It's an announcement of a webinar there too. The reader mode is missing a whole load of. Hang on a sec. Let's see if I can get. Oh, I've got to go to all that business, haven't I? Okay. Uh, that's the CEO of Nvidia. Uh, I suppose you could add him to the other CEOs that have a sort of vaguely greater viewpoint than just their own company. Uh, yeah, just standard pictures here, really, nothing super exciting. So, right. So, for more on that, you need to go to venturebeat.com. Yes, again, actually, venturebeat.com. And moving on from that, we're going to go to Niantic Labs. Um,
Oh yeah.
Another vested, interesting. Niantic, we had they bought something recently. They're becoming fairly dominant in this space. But yet again, this it's awkward. They're obviously promoting Niantic, but they're claiming, they're saying the metaverse is a dystopian nightmare. Let's build a better reality with our walled garden, of course. Which is the sort of theme you get from all of them, really. Although actually, this isn't too bad at all. As a society, let's just quote further down. As a society, we can hope the world doesn't devolve into the kind of place that drives sci-fi heroes to escape into a virtual one. Or we can work to make sure that doesn't happen. At Niantic, we choose the latter. We believe we can use technology to lean into the reality of augmented reality, encouraging everyone, ourselves included, to stand up, walk outside, and connect with people in the world around us. This is what we humans are born to do. Born to be
Uh oh.
connected. A combination of born to be wild and to be connected. Never mind, never mind. I'm going to go on to stop that. Right. James said, "Oh, I heard you there." when I started, when I started, you should have shut me up. What humans are born to do, the result of 2 million years of human evolution, and as a result, those things are going to make us the happiest. Those are the things that make us the happiest. Technology should be used to make these core human experiences better, not to replace them. Well, absolutely. It's all about, technology is there to computers and things have always been there to augment. Um, what we do. There may be immersion involved these days, but the idea of total immersion is probably not the ideal thing. Anyway, yeah, they talk about quite a lot about this, so it's a good little read here too. Certainly all makes sense and tells you a little bit about what Niantic are doing. Um, uh, they're coming off 18 months of Zoom, Netflix, and DoorDash. You can count me out.
Mm.
Says the author at Niantic. So you want NIANTICLABS.com for that one. NianticLabs.com. And move that one. Move on down to this is. I used to get this as a printed magazine every week, or no, probably every month. No longer. It obviously still exists online. It's Information Age. It's called. The website is information-age.com. So INFORMATION dash AGE. No spaces in there, and then .com. And the obstacles VR will overcome to go mainstream for business users. Um, Arguably, VR, if you're talking about the hardware and the headsets and everything else, that has been much more successful in the enterprise than with home users. Gamers have taken it up at home, but there's, many people play games these days, but, mainstream hardcore gamers who've taken up headset use really. They're a much smaller demographic than the enterprise users, simply because the different enterprise uses are far greater. Biology, building aircraft, medical equipment, including operations. The advantage VR um, immersion has brought to those professions and things is pretty great actually. Um, and of course, when you're in the enterprise, you tend to put them on to do a job, and then you've got them off again. It's not like the perpetual living life in a headset thing that you get with some domestic users and whatever. Anyway, incredible how far we come with VR, moving from an experimental plaything to a serious business tool with measurable benefits. The technology is expected to give 4.5 billion UK pounds actually to our gross domestic product by 2030, and innovators are developing solutions to help boost the adoption of VR in the enterprise settings, blah, blah, blah. As the market matures, we will soon see VR as an essential tool for business to become smarter and more efficient. And so they go on to tell you about creating content and all the rest of it, how it's all more than gaming, and some of the technical stuff about resolution, refresh rates, and don't mention lag, but they maybe should. And yeah, anyway, so quite a short article really, but a general primer there, especially for if you know people who need some quick information and from an enterprise point of view. So as I said, this is information-age.com for that little piece. Moving on down, how VR is being used for renewable energy training. Well, rather appropriate, given that we heard this week that we're now dancing at the end of time, I believe. Well, that's Michael Moorcock's novel, isn't it? But we are apparently dancing at the end of the world unless we stop dancing and get out the cleaning materials pretty damn quick. Um, yeah, not happy at all. But renewable energy, of course, is a major part of what the future should have been for the last 40 years and definitely needs to be in the next 40 days. Whether VR can train you in 40 days, I don't know. But training is one of the most vital aspects of renewable energy solutions, although it's also true at the same time that specialized training can cost you and companies thousands. VR isn't new, it's been around long enough for people to get used to the basics, and it can be applied to new and existing directions. The introduction of VR to renewable training has a lot to bring to the table. A bit similar to the last post in a way, but here very definitely more specific about crucial um, crucial part of our time, really. I don't know about corporate use. I mean, technically, maybe every citizen on the planet should be given a compulsory VR training on this particular one. But there again, half the people haven't got the kit to do it, so back to square one. Okay, you'll find this post at bbntimes.com. So that's bbntimes.com. I don't know what the BBN part of that stands for. I think it may be a regional media outlet. And yeah, they go into all the background that you might want on that. Many readers, listeners to the show will probably know exactly all about it already, don't you, folks? Right, moving on down. I've only got a few video links this week, so I'm going to leave them to the end. Right now, in a minute, this is quite a fun week because there's hardly anything. I've deliberately avoided, not posting the 500 new metaverses that have started up. Oh, and that can't be pluralized anyway, so even I don't know what I'm talking about anymore. Yeah. Are you an XR Twitter? XR being extended reality, which incorporates AR and VR and you name it. Well, you should be. It's a cool place. Yeah, well, I vouch for that. I think it's 15 or 18 now. Well, I was a beta tester on Twitter, so I've been there however long that is. Right now, there's a lot of heat on a particular term. Monkeyverse. Sorry, metaverse. Right.
Ah,
Some people are going to the bat to keep the word around and in common use. Other people are saying that the word has lost its magic or it was never very good to begin with. So what exactly is the M word? And why is the terminology so contested all of a sudden? Well, the monkeyverse never really had a solid definition to begin with. As we'll see, it's one of the main reasons some people aren't having it anymore. Anyway, they're going to talk about where Stevenson's novel, where it appeared. Oh, by the way, Neil Stevenson's got a new novel out. I forget his name, but if you find the right link, you can get it for 99 pence, very cheap, on uh, the Kindle, Amazon, or you can buy the paper one, paper hardback at a proper price. But there are quite a few special offers. In fact, you can follow Neil Stevenson on Twitter actually, which I think is where I got it. Okay. Um, the M word refers to a single virtual experience with many of the elements that we're familiar with in our real life conversations, including a persistent shared virtual space experienced in total immersion by the user, or indeed all the users using it. What's wrong with using the M word? uh, right. Some commentators are levying valid disputes with the use of the M word, but a lot of the complaints definitely seem to be just grumbling about what was once a cool niche term and it's increasingly find its way into common parlance. Well, I would agree, but I reserve the right to grumble a lot. it I won't say it was a sort of cool niche term, but also it had its context, and you know, I don't care if it goes into common parlance or not, so long as it has a definition that is at least broadly correct, and it doesn't. So, what are some of those more valid concerns? They say, well, the term was never intended for practical use, so it doesn't really have an agreed on definition. People agree on touch points, but the touch points tend to be those taken from the novels written before the internet as we even know it. An outdated sci-fi term to discuss what might actually be the future of computing does have some potential drawbacks. I like the way they refer to that as an antique terminology describing the future. At least the future according to God Emperor Ziki. Um, yeah, let's see. Oh, a nice little tweet there from Will Burns, our friend there. Um, I mean, what if you want to be holding on a 3-decade-old definition of metaverse that couldn't take the internet, WWW, or AR into account and think about it all interconnected when it was written? Be my guest. That's typical. Yeah, that's typical Will, really. Right. Also, we don't really know how the word is supposed to function. For example, can it be plural? No way, says I. Some contend that one persistent shared virtual space like VR chat or another persistent virtual space like Space VR are their own plural metaverses. Others argue there's only one metaverse, like there's only one internet, and each space is like a web page. Um, you can see where all this is going. I'm really quite glad that somebody's published this article. Um, they don't really come up with any solutions, but they've gone quite deep into this, and I like this last paragraph. What happens if you use the M word? Is it like when you use the F word and mummy and daddy come running? And really, if you're going to continue using the M word, and at least for now, everybody else will too, it has its downside, sure. Visitors to this persistent shared space may never actually use it, sure, but it's useful right now, and that's where we all live. In fact, it's a good thing that all of this argument at least is going on. There might be some bruised egos and elevated heart rates, but we might also be the closest we've ever been to an actual shared understanding of what the metaverse is and what it isn't, until it's yesterday's news and something else comes along. Uh, who knows what. Okay, okay. So that post you'll find at arpost.co, arpost.co, not com, just a co on that one. And yep, let's dispose of that and move on to the next item. prweb.com. This is an easy one. prweb.com. Uh, these press releases that are here often find themselves regurgitated during the next week, because they're issued to media outlets who then go and put their own. Well, you know what media's like. Sometimes they'll just reprint the press release. Other times they'll just tweak it a bit to put their own sort of swing on things. Anyway, the IEEE, the Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineers, are the largest technical professional organisation dedicated to advancing technology for the benefit of humanity, and they've collaborated with something called the Spatial Web Foundation, SWF, and that has nothing to do with the shockwave file, by the way. The principal international standards organization responsible for developing and promoting ethically aligned technical standards for the next era of global network computing, also known as the spatial web, which is possibly maybe they'll make the spatial web the next big thing.
The next metaverse.
Yeah, and then we can forget about all the monkey verses. Yeah. Anyway, incorporating technologies enabling smart cities, virtual worlds, colloquially known as the, the M word. Hyperconnected, contextually aware network of humans, machines, and AI that integrates exponentially powerful technologies such as Internet of Things, machine learning, extended reality, autonomous vehicles, VR, drones, robots, distributed ledgers, cryptography, edge computing, into a unified cyber physical network. Yeah, there's a handful for a definition, isn't there? Right, as billions of connected devices and services come online, collectively sensing, navigating, and performing physical activities in the world, machine-readable governance of data, policies, permissions, rights management is critical to aligning those powerful and pervasive technologies with 21st century's ethical and environmental needs. Well, we certainly need some ethical. We need all of them. We haven't got them now, have we? Anyway, talking about the launch of the working group and everything else, and plenty of material for you to crib to do an article on the spatial web working group, basically, and also all the links here at the bottom too. Yeah, that's all good. Spatial Web Foundation. So this particular post you'll find at prweb.com. But for more directly, you could probably go to the spatialwebfoundation.org, which is the specific one here for this information. You can go to IEEE too, but I think that's, well, I'm even going to take you there to prove the point. Because I'm good to you, aren't I? I haven't done a click-through yet today. Oh, look at this. Oh, it's pretty. We've got a bit of animation on the show for once. Right. AR, VR, AI, LOT, DLT. Come on, wait for me. Okay. It's going to go on and on of its own accord here. Whoa, yes, indeed. Yeah, well, you can go to this site, spatialwebfoundation.org, and figure it all out for yourself, because it's playing havoc with my screen. Right, but not adversity. Let's move on. Now, I said there'd be another couple of posts from the scarghost.com.
Do you need a howl?
Do I need a howl?
The ghost howls. I should only
Yeah.
play it when you say the ghost howls, since that's where it comes from.
Okay, well, it's another post from scarghost.com where the ghost howls.
The ghost howls, yep.
It is, it's actually, the ghost howls is actually the name of this website.
Yeah.
The address you go to get to it is skaredghhost.com. And of course, he refers to himself as the Scarred Ghost. His real name is actually Anthony Tillo, I believe, or something like that. Anyway, um, there's a new version of HoloLens come from the Microsoft people, and it's considered one of the best augmented reality headsets on the market since it's been launched in 2019. High price in the pandemic have prevented him from travelling. That's Scott goes. So he hasn't had an opportunity to go anywhere to try it. But they've now sent him a review thing where he can test the device for a few days and report back to us. And by God, he does. He's got an embedded video, which is 50.
Hi everyone, from Tony, the Scar Ghost. Today I'm here to review with you the HoloLens 2. So thanks to VR Expert, it is a company that lends AR and VR headsets to people and companies that need them.
Okay, right. Scrolling through here, he reviews the whole thing: design, comfort, the visuals, audio, positional tracking, hand tracking, eye tracking, voice recognition, environment reconstruction, system user interface, demos and apps, and device portal, development SDK, and a few other things like battery and stuff near the end there. It's 55 minutes long, so you're really going to want to go into this if you see what I mean. Moving down the page here, of course, a lot of specifications and stuff like that. He's actually typed into the page here. He's got an embedded video of an unboxing, which is by somebody else, and basically he's published a load of videos by other people. But then he really goes into his own kind of heavyweight review, and as you can see, this is like all of his posts. It's sort of the horizon at the end of the web page is not visible. Judging by the little scroll bar on the right side of my screen, I'm now approximately a quarter of the way down it, so you'll forgive me if I'm not going to go all the way. Scrolling up again. But if you want to know more about the HoloLens 2 in-depth review, go and read Tony's review at scarredghost.com, SKARREDGHOST.com.
Okay.
Right. Now, getting near the end of the week here, we're on the regulars. This is August the 12th, which would be Friday. Actually, it's Thursday, but it wouldn't have been. When they're actually shown up to Friday, at least not on this side of the Atlantic. This is Charlie Fink's weekly roundup, near the end of the week in his case. Metaverse Mania is here. God, Charlie, you're a bit slow on that one. I was 30 years too early for the party, so it's sadly anticlimactic for me, he says. I learned long ago that it's going to take years to sort this out. If that's even possible. Will the metaverse be browser-based or app-based? What's the role of AR in the metaverse? Nobody knows. Not even Lord Emperor Zucky. Not Tim Sweeney. Not even Tim Cook. And presumably not her either. That's Ariana Grande, who did a concert in Fortnite. And that is presumably her avatar. Either that or something has gone very wrong with her. Fetching her makeup. I don't know. Right, one metaverse already exists. Second Life, the web-based 3D virtual world, has been popular for 2 decades. It still has 1 million monthly users. It has an economy. People buy and sell virtual real estate and digital goods. It is spatial, 3D. It has persistence. It is social. If you have an avatar, your embodied presence to customize as you wish. Second Life may already be a metaverse. Gone wrong with that sentence, but never mind. But as we know, it is not the metaverse. The distinction is incredibly important. There are even more developing M-word plurals. These include VR Chat, Facebook's Horizon, Rec Room, Allspace VR, and Roblox. Epic Games raised $1 billion for a metaverse they will presumably build on Fortnite, which, with 350 million users, is many times larger than everyone else put together. They're all growing quickly and raising tons of money, but then again, none of these is the M-word. Anyway, he gets that over with. Glad to say. Although I obviously agree. And carries on with highlights from his week. Um, New companies he mentions there. The Bell, Third Verse, and Tetrafi, whoever they are, they're all raising money basically. Um, uh, Beyond XR, fundraising. Niantic again here. Oh,
Hmm.
yeah, I mentioned that a minute ago, but in fact, we may have a link for this coming up. I'm not sure. They also acquired a 3D scanning app called Scaniverse. And it's to date, it's been on the iPhone and the iPad. It's as a free app. And it's designed specifically for scanning objects and environments in high resolution 3D. Obviously, on the new iPads with the LiDAR, oh, and on the iPhone, the LiDAR cameras and stuff is obviously even more effective. Um, but they've anyway they put they it's been bought by Niantic, Niantic. That's right. Um, and yeah, um, I guess they want to be able to scan the entire world and make a mirror world out of it, which they won't call a mirror world. Even though mirror world is actually an M word, but I think they've got the other M word in mind.
Hmm.
Yeah. Well, who wouldn't? It's the word of the week, isn't it? It's been
Yep.
number 1 in the world charts for about 8 weeks now. So something's got to come top live in the number 1 spot, you know. Really, really. Too much of a good thing or a bad thing. This you will find at Forbes.com. I forgot to mention that. Forbes.com. And as I said, it's basically a quick rundown of the week by Charlie Fink, who will be again with me in a second or two. Well, on my screen in a second or two, I should say. Moving on to another famous company, really, called CNN. Yes. The actual site is edition, edition, dot CNN.com. And guess what they're talking about? It's the God Emperor Suki and the M word. Of course, can't forget the M word. Why Silicon Valley is betting on making this dystopian sci fi a reality. And that's such a headline that a number of people have copied. Although maybe with different text, you know. I mean, it's nice to know that this is a very common feeling in the media and in the tech media and the main media. Is nobody was really um, everybody's a bit confused about the M word, but nobody is at all happy about the God Emperor Suzuki getting his hands on it, whatever it is. The multiverse, as I said. Right. Facebook has many pressing problems, from opposed antitrust legislation to accusations that the company is contributing to vaccine misinformation. The God Emperor was on a conference call with analysts to discuss its latest quarterly results. And much of the focus on those issues was a diversion so that he could talk about the M word. And yeah, during an hour long session, the M word was mentioned nearly 2 dozen times by the Emperor himself, I have you know. So, the M world was originally conceived as a setting for dystopian science fiction novels where virtual universes provide an escape from crumbling societies. I wonder how true that is at the moment. We are crumbling. So maybe anyway. Now the idea is transformed into a moonshot goal for Silicon Valley and to become a favourite talking point among startups, venture capitalists, and tech giants. The idea is to create a space similar to the internet, but one that users can walk around inside and interact with, whatever. Now, several people other than me have brought this up again. It's not only the thing of I don't believe the metaverse is something that can be pluralized, whatever it is. It's all embracing. It's like a god, isn't it? Well, who made God? Oh, that doesn't matter. You just worry about the bigger, the all of it. Um, what is actually quite interesting here is that they too have said here the idea is to create a space similar to the internet. But as one tweet reminded me this morning, the World Wide Web, right, has changed. It's a small part of the internet, but it's changed how we use the internet, as did email and everything else. The metaverse, whatever it becomes, and as global as it may be, is not going to ever be an alternative to the internet. It may be something that is on the internet. It may need the internet to run. Certainly, any platforms that profess to be an internet metaverse at the moment rely on the internet to run. They don't have common protocols, but they all need the internet. They don't run on the web, although some do, but they all run on the internet, which is the connectivity rather than the communication layer. So, um, you, a metaverse is never going to be a space similar to the internet. It's going to probably going to be a space on the internet, because it's hard to imagine anything ever replacing the internet. I suppose technically you could have a metaverse where the internet was part of it, but again, it would down to stupid definitions that won't come for many years or decades yet. So, as I say, edition.cnn.com for their version of the essay. They mentioned Matthew Ball, who's a venture capitalist, was on Twitter all the while. No, that's more the blockchain thing. Yeah, they've name checked quite a few good people here. Not that one. Well, the metaverse have the same problems with the internet, etc., etc. All this is part of the discussion, really, and I'm I'm I'm, I'm getting bored of commenting. To be honest,
Mm.
just add this one to the big pile of reviews and hypotheses and thesis and everything else that's attempting to define, or at least provisionally define, either the M word or part of the M word or plural M words. Oh gosh, can't take any more, can we? Right, moving on from CNN, and this is the VRARA.com, Virtual Reality Augmented Reality Association. Um, uh, THEVRARA.com. And this post is about something called Toby, TOBII, who've introduced Toby Spotlight for foveated transport for VR/AR. Some, some headlines don't seem to be put together very well, really. It's 4 and 4, but never mind. Um, anyway, this again was announced at the SIGGRAPH conference, I suppose is the word. It's a lightweight codec that can be used in VR, AR, and MR, and it's called foveated transport. It levers their Spotlight foveated gaze stream and proof of concept foveation codec, aligning computer power with the human visual system to optimize display technology and enable greater visual clarity. Reduces bandwidth and latency in the graphics rendering pipeline over 5G, Wi-Fi, or indeed cable in split rendering systems. So, a lot of tech stuff there to be read. They do point out at the end here that NVIDIA is an innovation partner with this company, Toby, who are both working on the promising technology for a wide variety of uses in XR, extended reality. Right, sorry, lost me buttons there. Lost me buttons, I did. Right. Okay, moving on to near the end here. Right, now this is a rather nice chap called Theo Priestley
Oh.
at metapunk.co.uk. We featured him last week. He's been tweeting a lot recently, and I've got a separate subscription from him. So he is one of the persons heavily involved in the debate over the N word and everything else, really. But the other person heavily involved on Twitter, along with TP, as he's called on Twitter, is Doug Thompson, who, of course, was his own writer. And I was involved, many people were, with a show, a virtual chat show that well, it was started by Nick Wilson, but taken over by Disney writer. And it featured an economist, basically talking about virtual economies. And it's a very popular show of its time. You know, it's certainly the biggest, most popular show in virtual worlds. You know, from its what was Nick's company called? I forget, but it was on the blog and stuff, and they moved eventually Treat TV, although they were still SL News Network in those days, took it over. Uh, you know, and well, Doug Thompson, do some writers, still produced it, but the actual streaming was done by Treat, and it became very big, very big. Anyway, so I was recommending you check them out. They're all hidden away somewhere on. I'm not sure where actually. I think there is a site where Treatise archives are held, and they've possibly been backed up in other places too. Um, they are a bit more than podcasts, which is a misnomer there, really. Anyway, sort of, he talks about building the economy of the metaverse, and he's really nicked the name Metanomics to be a subject matter. This isn't about the show per se, um, but he mentions sort of economical landmarks. 2010, a nightclub in Entropia was sold for $635,000. Virtual Amsterdam was sold in Second Life for $50,000 in 2007. An elf called Zizo was actually sold in World of Warcraft for $9,500 the same year. And a 21-year-old earned $125 for controlling somebody's identity for an hour. And a 16-year-old won a $3 million in prize money in the Fortnite World Cup. So they're interesting figures, those. Yeah, I don't know about the poor guy who only got $125, but there's there again. And also, they had a bank in Eve Online called the E-Bank, and all sorts of stuff. This is Metanomics, the economy of the metaverse, and it's happening all around us right now. And then we go into more facts and figures about users online and stuff like that. So, if you're interested in economics, and there's anybody who remembers the Metanomics show probably is indirectly, then worth checking this out. There is a site, as I say, it's called Metapunk Co UK, so it's metapunk.co.uk. Okay, let's move that one. Now, another old friend of ours, I had him on the panel in a couple of years ago on the Open Simulator conference. Now, this is Blair McIntyre site. And this one I think came out today too. As you can see, it was a few hours ago. I love it when he gives you this information. Yeah, it was a few seconds ago, a few hours ago. Right. Anyway, folks thinking about the ethics in VR, the worries that motivate them arise from fears about the way mass adoption of XR systems go badly when those systems are created and controlled by profit-driven companies. The scope of the problem seems daunting, especially when many seem unworried about it. So this is all his thoughts. I tend to agree with pretty much everything here. He, of course, has worked for Mozilla, and he, I think, he's still involved in the hubs thing. I know Mozilla let go of a lot of people. I don't think he was one of them, although I think he does other things too. But yeah, as I say, this is more about the ethics in extended reality generally. Yeah, so it's a review that, and then it's got a link to another slightly longer article, but still reasonably short article that you can read there too. Right. Oh, getting dizzy here I am.
Oh no.
Right. I did that PR web one, didn't I? Yeah. Okay. I forgot to delete it. Okay. So I'm okay. Well, as I said, actually, the final text thing here anyway is Scott goes yet again. So I think we shall have a Oh yes, it's his 5th birthday. The wolf is 5 years old today.
Wow. Does that
Anyway,
deserve some
actually,
applause? Huh?
I think so. Yes. I
Ah,
actually
happy birthday.
I should have seen that comment when you said it deserves some applause. I didn't think you were. I didn't think you were going to actually hold up a flag and get everybody to do it, but never mind.
too
Okay.
literal, right?
Yeah. August the 15th is a special day in Italy, he says. It's called Ferragosto. And people go out with their friends and families to grill barbecue in the parks, have picnics, or just chill together. Almost no one works, and people are focused on enjoying good food and good company. But 5 years ago at Ferragosto, and today is the 15th, remember, I had another plan. I wanted to start a blog of mine. Odd. Right. Following a piece of advice of marketing experts, blah, blah, blah. And he started a blog to talk about the work he was doing at his startup, InnoMotioner. I had no idea how long I would have kept doing it, and I was pretty sure no one was going to read me. So 5 years later, he guesses he was a bit wrong. And yeah, he's very well read. I don't know why so many people listen to him. He's not easiest the person to understand because he keeps on. He does broadcast in English with an accent that makes it very difficult. Well, just for me anyway. I'd almost prefer Italian with subtitles, but there you go. Anyway, he's looking back on the whole thing there. So the whole blog here is looking back at stuff, not only at the blog, but sort of some of the podcasts and offshoot stuff that he's done with it. So we wish you a happy birthday, Tony, and check this out at scarghost.com, SKARREDGHOST.com. Now, I did say earlier that we didn't really have many videos this week, so I just left all three of them to the end. Let's see. Let's start at the earliest of them. Right, so you'll find the links to these on Twitter or on my Mastodon feed, or you can even click through to YouTube, which is where most of them come from. Well, actually, I think one's from Vimeo, but I have to check that. Anyway, this first one is how Roblox-inspired companies are bringing the internet to life. It doesn't mention the M-word here. I'll see how long it takes them to
It's a cloud-based workflow, and
I want to see how long it takes them to mention the M-word. There we are. See?
Right
Second.
on title. Right.
Absolutely seconds. They don't mention it, they use it.
Imagine the internet coming to life. A three-dimensional, life-size virtual
Oh, she's
world where
cute.
avatars work and interact. South Korea's largest mobile carrier, SK Telecom, is one of the companies developing this virtual universe known as the Metaverse.
Dun dun.
So you can see what's coming. The interesting thing about this post, or the video on it really, is they describe this trend, you know, for because in this case they're talking about the carriers getting involved. In other words, the carriers have obviously realised they've got to, you know, handle a lot more data if they're going to have metaverses on them. But it's interesting the way they say how robots-inspired companies are bringing the internet to life, meaning the M-word, really. I would not. Well, Robots has an awful lot of subscribers, so maybe that's the reason for it. At least it's not saying Facebook-inspired. You know, it's a more general thing, and whether all these aspiring M-word places are inspired by Roblox or something much greater, I think is debatable. But anyway, interesting video there. It's the Bloomsburg Quick Take. Is the people you want to subscribe to on YouTube, but you can get there via my via my normal Twitter feed and ultimately the Mastodon feed here. So moving on to the next one on the list, as I said. Oh no, I don't want to do that. Shit, sorry. Oh, sorry, I just clicked a button. I mean, it means it's just gone and downloaded the entire website offline. Speak with me. Right, okay. Now, yeah, where was this one? I can't remember where it even came from. This is an audio podcast, if I remember rightly. Yeah. It's the open metaverse thesis, talking about designing the future. There's no visible chapters on this, so it just goes on for an hour and a minute. I don't know why they bothered with the extra minute, but you know, well, I do. I know what it's like. Um,
This is the brave new coin.
Historically grounded in science fiction like Snow Crash and Ready Player One, but I think has really begun to become part of, I guess, wider discourse in the kind of technological sense as
right. You can go there if you want to listen to the whole thing. It's interesting enough, by the way. In fact, it's very interesting. You just need about an hour to sort of play it. And it's posted at YouTube, even though it's not a video. So you basically just get an audio with that title screen on it. So for some reason, a lot of people post audio podcasts on YouTube these days, which, given how many audio sites there are, why they choose YouTube, I don't know. But
Because it's free.
well, it's like Spotify. That is for audio, and then they now got podcasts and everything else. But now they want to move into videos that can be with YouTube. They're just bananas. Let them, I don't want. I want to go to one place like Spotify to get all my audio. And the sad thing about this is if I get to a podcast like this, I right click on one of my bookmarklets, and I have send to Spotify. And it sends the stream to Spotify when it's put in my library for me to play whenever I want to. Yeah, just like a musician's new album or whatever. But when it's something at YouTube, you can't do that. You've got to go to YouTube and play it. And it's a lot of people always think YouTube is everything, so don't realise that it's like having a virtual reality region is Second Life. You are stuck in somebody else's platform, and how much you can spread it around and get people to enjoy it is up to the platform provider. You can't get people to visit your wonderful island in Second Life unless they join Second Life and get an account, even though it's free at the start. And likewise, there's no way you can listen to this podcast unless you have a YouTube account. So, thoughts on that? Oh, of course, you can listen to it on my as an embed on my feed there, but even so, I think it's restricted, to be honest. Anyway, moving on. The very final thing I've got here, and this is the other version of Charlie Fink, of course, and this. Following a couple of weeks ago, they had the CEO of Magic Leap on, and this week they've got Matthew Ball, who is the author of this Metaverse manifesto, the M-word manifesto. We've got to forgive him. He knows what he's doing. He's been around for ages. Anyway, he's their guest on this one, and Charlie. What's interesting is these days they all seem to be filming from different locations every week.
Of metaverse-related stocks.
There's Charlie.
And of course, the topic du jour, the metaverse. And those of you that are watching video and maybe hearing a little bit of the noise behind me, probably know that I am in the real verse today up in Yosemite. Charlie is in his metaverse in his house, and Andy, you had a little metaverse drama this morning, which is why we only hear you and don't see your picture, right?
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. I actually find it somewhat inspiring to talk about the extent to which the metaverse we hope for and that certain individuals are building, such as the folks at Epic Games, is constrained by and then varyingly unlocked by things entirely out of their control. For example, network infrastructure is critical.
Yeah, sorry, I can't be on the show. Can't give you my picture because of the network. Can't get into Second Life because of the network, etc., etc.
Can't access your hard drives because of the network.
Yeah. And more to the point, because of the network, you've just had one hard drive destroyed by the manufacturer. We do remember this.
We do.
Hello, Western Digital. Goodbye, Western Digital. I'm still waiting to hear from you, Western Digital. My Book Live, it was called. Yes. Had a huge library of concert videos on it that I can't replace. Please replace them. send me that recovery software that you think will arrive 1 century or two in the future. Anyway, that's it. That's it. Finish on
That's it.
another mode. Yeah, yeah, that is it for this
All
week.
right. All right. Well,
So
interesting.
we get, yeah, not too many videos at the end there, so
Okay.
that cut the time down. I don't know how long we've been on here, but it's been
Not much. An hour. 1 hour.
oh gosh, this has got to be the shortest slow we've had for
It's got to be
donkeys.
short, right?
I know donkeys tend to be slow, but this is the slow donkeys, as the expression goes. Right, okay, fascinating. Well, we have made up for last week when we ran to about 2 hours. We've
Yeah.
now we're closer to an hour and a half this week by quite a big margin.
By a big
So
margin.
we can join the two shows together and figure they were 90 minutes each.
Ah, yeah, that'll work.
One way of looking at it. Right, okay. Well, I can dispose of that now. And if we're going to leave you with anything, it's a pretty picture of a half a mat desktop.
Hmm.
Yeah, no pictures, anything else to share. So, James, any thoughts on?
Well, I did. You didn't do the Upload VR fellows this week for their Monday
Oh,
show, but they had two very interesting conversations. The first was about Valve's standalone VR headset, and so a lot of enthusiasm that Valve is going to come up with a Quest competitor, and then a great discussion about their sense that Facebook has a goal of making the Quest a personal computer. So, to make it mainstream, it is going to need to do everything that you would do on a computer or a tablet. And they see a lot of the steps that Facebook is taking in Facebook Labs as making a Quest a personal computer. It's your access to anything that you would want to access. That was a good discussion. Yep.
that was sort of made sense one day. I mean, today, it's all about interfaces and portals, really.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever the M word is, or turns out to be, you're going to have to step into it or jump into it, as it were, metaphorically, some way or other. I've always been fascinated by interfaces, whether it was for software, and then more, and then the web, and then step video, the way we interface with the information and engage with it, and an all-in-one thing that the M word could be, will certainly require ways of getting into it. Now, I mean, I actually suggested to Philip Rosedale, because he was talking about audio levels and things like that, that maybe it's actually the smallest things that combined are going to start really building the bedrock of the metaverse. Things that do one job, do it very well, and are also interoperable with others. Even though they may be doing very, very different jobs, they will slot in together into each other like a jigsaw.
Yep.
Rather than any one big platform that defines itself as the walled garden be all and end all. So that's one way it may go, or as I say, it may be that you will have a number of very large companies, say Microsoft, Apple, and Amazon even, or something, getting together to not share their apps or services necessarily, but share a platform where things can run, a bit like the operating system, Linux, Windows, and Mac operating systems, usually facilitate an entry point to any given app. And they all have an entry point to the web. So if somewhere else on the internet this M word comes to be, then it makes sense that there should be an initial portal you can jump into that will be available. Not only will the metaverse, as it were, include mobiles and services and finance and all that stuff, but it will be important you can get to it one way or another through any device, and platform specific. But we know, plenty of people started producing apps on Windows and then realised that if they're going to get any prestige, they needed to port them to the Mac or even iOS. And then there's other sort of Mac specific things, things like the game Myst, and their manufacturer. All that started on the Mac. And, at some point, Science Software thought, maybe we should do a Windows version. Apparently, Microsoft's got a lot of customers, So it comes to Windows. Then it came to Philips CDI machines and PlayStation. You can, So eventually, these things cross platforms because they're, at the end of the day, the apps and the people doing things realize they need to be on all platforms to be viable. So really, maybe there should be a more simplified version of an operating system that becomes the platform and also allows for entry into the richer environment at some point. Anyway, I'm really perplexed because I did get that show.
Oh, okay.
I don't know why I didn't put it on my playlist a couple of hours ago before when I was because I was basically going through everything in the week I'd published. And
maybe it fell underneath a window.
I reckon I scrolled down my Twitter list too fast and missed it or something. Yeah, that's I'll have to check that out because it should at least be on. In fact, I can tell you. Hang on, there's a very quick and oh no, that's Discord. Oh God, where's my? Oh, I'm just going to relaunch my regular browser. Yeah. So some thoughts on that. The trouble is, there's too many thoughts on that.
Right.
It's understandable that anybody who's actually Feedbow's not available in private mode. I'm not in private browsing mode. You stupid. And why is it showing my? What is it doing? Oh, no, it's changing its mind. Okay. It takes a while to load these things sometimes. Yeah, so what was I saying? Oh, yeah, it's easy to see, people, if they're invested in a particular project. Oh, the blasted thing's crashing. Never mind. I'm going to have to forget. I knew,
we know where it is. We know where we can find it. At Malburn's. Twitter/Malburn's. Oh, Mal? Oh, it looks like Discord is restarting. There you are. There you are. I hear you now.
Yeah, and Discord crashed as well as the web browser.
Yep.
So after all this heavy duty stuff, I have to reboot the map basically to get everything back to normal the way I want it.
Well, I was just saying, we all know where to go. We can all go to Twitter/Malburn's.
Indeed, yes.
Yep.
Twitter.com/Malburn's. Yes, and yeah, and I just realised we were still on air when it all dropped. I thought, okay, typical. Anyway, yes, I think before anything else stupid happens, like I woke up this morning and there's no internet. I don't know what happened. I rebooted the Virgin Media's hub and everything was back.
Okay,
So go figure that. It had been off all night. So now the overnight messages for America and stuff have come in. Anyway, that's all sorted. So yeah, we will leave them while we still have the shortest show for a long while because we're coming up to an hour and a quarter now. It's funny how the ending never works. It's goodbye from this bloke here.
And it's goodbye from this bloke here.
He says pointing. I just realised our hands don't point. That bloke there and that bloke. Anyway, it's goodbye from the two of us until next week. Same time, same place. Hope we've been of interest and you will join us again next time. And in the meantime, stay safe. And stay well and stay indoors still if you can, and depending where you live, don't drown or don't roast. And if that is not a worry, then you're fortunate to live in the 10% part of the world that isn't either drowning or roasting. Oh God! So stay safe whatever you do, and be cautious, and never forget COVID has not gone away, so take precautions. But otherwise, have a good week, and of course keep it in world. I'm not going to mention the M world if I can help it, but there are plenty of places you can go to immerse yourself with an avatar or whatever and enjoy yourself online and pretend that the real world isn't happening. Although, of course, you can go and get some educational training on the environment while you're at it. Anyway, that's it. We will see you again next week. So, bye for now.